I think guess though
Thank you, everyone, for joining. Greg, I guess I'll put the reins in your hand, but
All right, thank you. The first item agenda, I believe Mr. Link will talk about.
Thank you, Greg. So at Monday night's committee meetings, we had a conversation about the meeting minutes for the different committees in the school district. The membership of those committees indicated that they would like the meeting minutes posted on the website with the monthly board minutes as well. I'm asking this group for these committees if they would also like the same. I'm recommending that we do, but I want to take it to the board members to see if they would like the meeting minutes posted to the website like we do for the monthly meetings.
Sure.
Matt, this is Rob, and I also am agreeing with that.
Yeah, this is Gary. As I said Monday night, I think it's good for us to do that for transparency particularly, but also I think maybe for some people who come to or listen to meetings and think that since we vote on things so quickly at meetings, we don't discuss things, and much of it is discussed in minutes. So I mean, in the committee meetings. So I think it's very important that we do put those out. Thank you.
Mr. Kern, I don't know if you weighed in yet.
Yeah, I did on Monday. Well, I'm good with that.
You're good for all committees? Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep.
All right, then I'm going to put in the notes here that the board members at the committee meetings this evening agreed the committee minutes should be posted. Thank you for that. And I will hand it back over to Greg.
Next item agenda is in regards to activities that take place inside the buildings during the school year. And I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. We will be taking a very close look at facility requests that are asking to use the inside classrooms or the gyms and limiting access to certain events. Reason being, as you all know, that we talked about in our last meeting, I believe that I would be moving a custodian from the second shift to a mid shift to assist with cleaning up after meals and any other sanitizing that would need to be done. And this will, by moving a custodian to a mid shift at the middle school and Peters, for instance, will cause a hardship for the evening custodians in that there's only going to be one of them after 7 o'clock. And to try to keep ahead of sanitizing and everything and having the building ready for the next day, it'd be difficult for one custodian to let a group in and out of the building and then sanitize after they leave and take care of everything else. So I just kind of wanted to inform the board what our plans are at this time right now. And if anyone has any additional comments in regards to that, we can talk about it.
Yes, Greg. I don't think we should really make any changes right now until we see how everything works out for everybody for right now, and especially only having one person on the shift. I don't think that's a good idea. That's only my opinion.
Greg, along those lines, honest answer, do you need more staff if we do this, or are you okay?
If we limit the use inside the buildings in the evenings, at least right now, I'm saying we should be fine.
You don't need any part-time people or anything, you're okay. I mean, you need to say that if you do it so we don't get in trouble, but.
Well, my only concern is I have a hard time finding subs to work. So that will be the only area where I'm going to, at least right now, that I think I'm going to have may run into a problem.
Okay. Well, hopefully you'll get back to Matt or get back to the board if you do. And, we'll try to give you the resources you need to make it happen. So That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with Matt. Same deal.
Thank you. So
Oh, go ahead.
if anyone else has any concerns or questions about that, please feel free to contact me. Moving on to the next agenda item, update.
Wait, I'm just typing notes in here. This is what I have is that you explained that administration is not recommending letting the buildings be used by outside groups after school hours. I did not hear any school board members oppose that. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes, this is Gary.
Okay. And then I'm just putting notations in here that both Mr. Green and Mr. Kern encourage Mr. Durr to let Mr. Link or the board know if he needs extra personnel support. Thank you.
The next agenda item is the stadium. Yesterday, I know Mr. Link sent out pictures of the stadium at the height of the storm. And I'm happy to report, at least at this time right now, the water pretty much receded fairly quickly. And I walked over the turf yesterday late in the afternoon, and I found one area that seems to be a little slack or a crease in the turf itself. Other than that, it seems to be secure all the way around the perimeter and no damage that I can tell. And I have contacted our field turf rep to come out and have him walk over the field and just to see stuff that maybe I didn't pick up on. As well as we also did file, at least started a claim with our insurance company should anything come up down the road, that it is on file. Any questions on the turf?
Yeah, I just have one question. Do you think this is groundwater or was it rainwater? Because obviously the stadium was built basically on a swamp many, many moons ago. And, obviously we had some water issues because it was always muddy. And if it is groundwater, is that something that we're insured for?
Well, I believe that there is a small stream that runs down behind that metal shed in the visitor side. And that is where most of the water came from. It overflowed the banks and came around that metal shed, and it came down onto the field. And with the amount of rain that was coming down and the extra water from the creek overflowing, the turf couldn't absorb it as fast as it was coming on. I don't believe that it's groundwater issue. And if it was a groundwater issue, I don't know that. I mean, that's an insurance question that I can't answer with any certainty.
Rhonda, do you know what the policy says about groundwater?
I don't believe groundwater is specifically mentioned in the policy. I can make a phone call and find out and report Monday night if it's something that the board wants me to do.
Okay, please do that and let us know, and I'll put it in the update.
Okay.
Okay, and when we're done here, this part of the agenda, I believe Mrs. Moltoris wants to revisit the evening custodians discussion. So, Mr. Kern, I think you were going to continue. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I'm good. That's fine. That answered my question. Because I know sometimes insurance policies, we might be covered for surface water, but if it's coming from the ground or old springs, it gets a little dicey. And I understand Greg might not know that off the top of his head. It was just a matter of fact that just from insurance claims that I've been involved in, sometimes that's an issue. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mrs. Moltoris, you want to bring your concerns up?
Yeah, so the only concern I have, Greg, when we were talking, and sorry, I wasn't thinking about this ahead of time, is you had said that there, after 7 o'clock, there's only going to be one custodian in some of the buildings. I know the high school has 3 night shift custodians. I think Slatington Elementary has 3. The middle school has 2. So if you're bringing one in, that's going to leave one there. And you have that one in that island out there, Peters Elementary, all by themselves. My concern is if somebody out at Peters would, God forbid, have a heart attack at 9 o'clock at night and nobody else is around, somebody doesn't find that person till 4 hours later when they don't come home from work, or the next morning if they're not married and nobody realizes they're missing, and then it's too late. My concern is just that we maybe have some kind of a check and balance in place, that we're checking in with those people who are singles in those buildings to make sure they're still okay. And they leave at the end of the night, that nothing has happened while on duty here.
So I hear that concern, and I've heard it in the past. And I know when the evening custodian was by himself out there, we do have Rick and Cliff here in the evenings, maintenance guys on staff who work second shift. I know they had a check-in system at the end of the night.
Good.
So it's kind of already in place, but I would need to make sure or reinforce the fact that, hey, check on the custodian at Peters and at the middle school at the end of the shift, just because they all have their cell phone numbers, they could easily check in. So I think that plan should work.
Good. And I'm glad to hear that. That's what I want. I don't want to leave any of our people out on an island by themselves. I would appreciate that is being taken into consideration. Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Durr, for addressing that.
Greg and Matt, that was basically sort of the thing that I was concerned about. I mean, whichever's going to work, but not to have someone alone in the building. But if there's checks and balances, that's fine with me.
Thank you, Mr. Disler. Okay, and then just to kind of recap the stadium flooding, we have a turf professional coming to see if there's any sort of permanent damage. Mrs. France is going to check with our insurance. We've already put a claim in, but she's also going to check with them to see if the claim addresses groundwater issues. Or not the claim, the policy. And any other topics, discussion, or question on the stadium yesterday? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Durr?
The next agenda item is in regards to the 7th Street Village and our middle school gym serving as a temporary shelter. I was contacted by the Slatington Borough Emergency Management officer, and he asked if we could use our middle school if we would need to. And I said yes, after talking with Mr. Link. And eventually, a little bit later, said, yes, we have some people that we need to evacuate to the middle school temporarily. And also, can you see if you can get a bus for us to transport these people from, it was the Slatington Fire Company, up to the middle school. So we did have Donna Van Horn, our terminal manager, take a full-size bus down. We brought back about 25 residents from the village, and they sheltered here. Most of them sat outside for the most part. Some were in the gym. And we went back down with a handicap van or handicap bus, a smaller bus with a handicap lift. And there were some wheelchair folks and people who couldn't climb onto the bus. And we actually took that handicap bus and delivered those folks to the Hampton Inn in Lehighton, where they were going to spend the night. And then through coordination with the EMA in Slatington, another bus arrived from George's Transportation in Palmerton and picked up the rest of the folks and transported them to the Hampton Inn. And I stayed with the last resident who had family members coming to pick them up. And around 7 p.m., they came and picked this young lady up with her children and took her back to Bethlehem. So while I was there, I got the chance to talk to some of them about returning to school, and some of them were not aware of exactly what Northern Lehigh's reopening plan even looked like. So I directed them to take a look at our website, and took down one of the ladies' information so I could get her updated in the Connect Ed systems. She said she didn't receive the phone calls, so that's in place for her. And today we reached out to the Lehigh County Housing Authority, and we're able to return a set of keys to one of the maintenance guys who I found in the building afterwards. And through talking with him, we're trying to get some sort of billboard or some notification down by their mailboxes down there that basically says, hey, if you're looking for information, see our website. We have been working on, as administration, a frequently asked questions kind of bulletin. So hopefully we can get that down there. So it was a good opportunity to try and get some more communication with those folks down there. Overall, everyone was cooperative, and it really went really well. Anybody have further questions about that?
No, just a comment, Greg. Thank you very much for coordinating that. Anything we can do for the community is always good PR. And, obviously it was a lot of your own personal time, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Greg, for taking care of that, and you as well, Matt.
You're welcome, but really it was Greg that was, the person on site. So he did a phenomenal job.
Yeah, I just didn't want to miss anybody.
Understood. Okay, I think that wraps up our portion of the buildings and grounds agenda, and we can transition into the technology agenda with tonight's topic being led by Mr. Hill.
All right, good evening, everybody. Before we get started, I want to talk a little bit about laptop insurance, but if you haven't checked it out yet, we did go live with our new Northern Lehigh School District website on Saturday morning. So if you haven't checked that out yet, please go ahead and do so. I want to thank Mr. Andy Kern, Mrs. Corey DeBilio, and Mrs. Janet Bayshore. I think they did a fantastic job on the website. I think you will all agree when you check it out. It was a long process, a lot of work, and I think they did a great job. And Mr. Stephen Haas did a great job too, switching over our DNS. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that, probably not, but there's a lot of timing involved with that. And the website came up Saturday morning just as it was supposed to. So everybody really pulled together and did a good job on that. So wanted to give thanks to all them. Okay, moving on to the agenda item. What I want to talk about is our laptop and Chromebook insurance for this year. Before we begin, one of the things we're going to do a little different this year is we always had a device for all the students from kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. But what we're going to do a little bit differently this year is we are going to actually assign a device to every student in a one-to-one manner all the way from kindergarten through 12th grade. From kindergarten through 6th grade, we usually just had carts in a classroom environment, and the students would just go pick a Chromebook and they would use it. This year, we're going to assign each student a device. We will be getting laptop cases for all the students as well. The reason we're doing that is twofold. First of all, we want the students to kind of have their own device, so they're not touching, so we don't have 10 students touching one device. That's one of the reasons. Second thing is, we want to be prepared. You know, we don't know what the school year is going to bring, so we want to be prepared in case we have to send devices home again. As you know, we have different phases, our green, yellow, red phase in our plan, and we have to be prepared. So that's what we're planning on doing. And saying that, we're looking at making some changes to our insurance. Last year, 2019 and 20, we had something. We had a take-home option and we had an on-campus option. All right, so students from 7th grade through 12th grade, 7th and 8th grade had Chromebooks. 9th through 12th grade had laptops. Basically, they had the option to buy insurance. If they paid for the insurance, they could take a device home. If they did not pay for the insurance, that device had to be left at school. So we had about roughly, it was around 60% of the students from 7th grade through 12th grade took their laptops home, their Chromebooks and laptops. About 40% of students left them in school. The problem with that model is it's really no longer conducive to our current educational environment. We're at the point where we really have to be prepared for remote learning at any time. As we learned last year, came up quick. We were actually planning on sending the devices home with the students the week after that Friday the 13th, when the governor decided to shut everything down. We were actually going to send all the devices home that following week, and we just never had a chance to because we got shut down before we had a chance to do that. So we're at the point where I think we have to be prepared, especially this year, for remote learning at any time. Another thing is the last couple of years, a big topic that you hear a lot with technology is equity in education for all the students. And really, it really came to the forefront now. I've been hearing about this for probably the last, I would say, at least 2 or 3 years. It's been a pretty hot topic, but really since the COVID-19 closure happened, this has been a big topic, meaning that we want to give all the students, no matter their financial, their parents' financial capabilities at home, we want to give them all the same equipment to work with, so they can all pursue the same education with the same devices. So equity in education is a big factor as well right now. Another thing driving what I'm about to present to you is we received some legal guidance earlier in the year. One of the things we were advised through legal counsel was that we were advised that laptops and Chromebooks should essentially be treated as textbooks anymore, meaning that there should not be any financial restrictions on allowing students to take the device home. Essentially, what they're saying is that we should treat it just like a textbook. All students should get a device, and they should be allowed to take it home. So with that being said, what I'm looking at for the 2020-21 school year coming up is with that being said about the legal guidance, we can still have an insurance option, which will give our students a chance to buy insurance, and we can offer financial incentives for them purchasing that insurance. But we really can't restrict students from taking a device home if they don't pay for the insurance. So again, the insurance would be strictly optional, but we will provide a financial incentive for the students to purchase that. So let me just share my screen here quickly, and I'll kind of show you what that would look like. Okay, so we would give the students and families an option to purchase insurance. Last year, what we did, we had a premium of $20 for the Chromebooks because the Chromebook is a much cheaper device, and we had a premium of $40 for laptops. And what I would recommend is that we do the same thing this year. If you look here under the insurance, Chromebooks would have a premium of $20. The maximum a family would pay is $80, and that would be for Chromebooks or laptops, no matter what grade level the family has students in. The grade level, it doesn't really matter. That's the same thing we did last year. We did the same exact thing. If you would have an incident of damage that wasn't covered under warranty, if they bought the insurance for a Chromebook, that would cost them then $50. Okay, a typical incident of damage that we see most often is a LCD crack. That's the most common one, sometimes a keyboard. Those would cost them $50 for a Chromebook. And for a laptop, it would be $80. For theft, loss, or damage of a charger, we would charge them $15. For the Chromebook, for the laptop, it would be $30 because the chargers are more expensive. And we do require them to get an OEM HP charger because we don't want any cheap, cheap brands that come from China or somewhere like that that aren't UL listed and things of that nature. So we do want a OEM charger. We do make sure when all the devices are returned that they do come with an OEM charger. The next thing would be if they, again, if they would lose their case, have damage to the case, or get stolen, we would charge them $15 for that if they bought the insurance. For a laptop, it would be the same thing. Theft, loss of the Chromebook, if they bought the insurance, we would only charge them $125. For a laptop, we would charge them $300. If they did not buy insurance, again, there would be no premium, so the families don't have to pay anything up front. They would still be allowed to take their laptops home. That would be the key difference this year. Last year, they had to keep them in school. This year, we would allow them to take them home. But we would charge them the cost for any repairs or any loss or theft. Anything basically that isn't covered under warranty, they would have to pay for. So what that would look like is with no insurance, if they damage their Chromebook, again, the typical damage is LCDs or keyboards. It costs us $100 to repair those. We actually buy those and we put them in ourselves. So we do save money for our families there because if we sent them out for repair, it'd be more like about $180. So we do those repairs in-house and it costs us about $100 to fix those devices. Chargers, we get them in bulk. So we pay about $30 for our Chromebook chargers. Cases are about $30. And a theft or loss of the Chromebook, we would charge them the full price, which is we get them in bulk and we get about $250 per device. For laptops, again, if they didn't buy a premium, damage is a little more expensive on the laptops. It costs us about $160 for an LCD on a laptop. And those are not covered under warranty. Keyboards may be a little cheaper, but those are typically around the same price. So it would probably be in the $160 range. Loss of theft of the charger is about $60. Theft, loss, damage of a case would be $30. And then, of course, if they lost their whole not their Chromebook, their laptop, it would be $600. So that would be the difference between somebody who would buy insurance and somebody who wouldn't. So we would still try to encourage families to buy insurance. I think that would help in the long run, but at the same time, they wouldn't necessarily have to. But it would just be, again, we would treat it just as we do textbooks or other things. We have policies in place that cover those items. And if somebody damages an item, just like a calculator, a textbook, anything else, they can be held liable for those damages. So that is what we are proposing this year and the reason why. So I'm going to open it up if anybody has any questions.
Eric, I have a question. For either one, when payment was due, would we allow families to do some sort of payment plan, maybe pay it in 2 installments or 3 installments if they didn't have the means to pay it up front right away?
Yes, absolutely. Typically, the way that works is if somebody has damage, what we do is one of our technicians will typically look at it. They will determine if the damage is warranty or non-warranty. And then what we do is they will sign the paper, have the student look at it and agree as well and sign the paper. Then goes to the principal for review, and then it comes to me, and then I submit that to the business office. And yes, I know Mrs. Molitoris is very willing to work with families on that. Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then my other question was, if it was a student that qualifies, let's say, for reduced lunch, not free lunch, would the fee, if they were a non-insurance buying student, but there was damage, would the cost of the damage be full price or half price?
Okay, what we would do for the free and reduced lunch, and good question, because I forgot to put that in my little presentation there. It was on my notes and I skipped it. But what we do for free, what we do for free and reduced lunches, and this is what we did last year. Basically, free lunches. Anybody with free lunch gets free insurance. Okay, so we give them free insurance automatically. So right away, They would be still held liable for some damages, but it's cut in half. Okay, and they do get that free. We don't charge, and we did that last year as well. We don't charge them any money for the insurance. If it's reduced lunch, if they have reduced lunch status, they pay half of the insurance premium. So it would only be $10 for a Chromebook, and it would be $20 for a laptop. And then the insurance is the same from there. So yes, they do get a break, and that's what we did last year as well.
Okay, thank you for describing that.
Any board
other
members have any questions?
No, I think it's a good plan, Eric, and thank you for putting that together.
You're welcome.
Okay, I believe that wraps up. Oh wait, Mr. Durr, did you want to bring up the conversation you and I had earlier about one of our property neighbors?
Yes. I received an email today from my resident and a family here who lives on the boundary line of the middle school. And they are planning on having a wedding on Saturday, October 10th. And they wondered that if the rules for gatherings did not change, they may cancel their reception at an indoor venue and hold it in their backyard. And the question from the gentleman is, would it be acceptable to have some of our setup extend into the field onto the school district property? Tentatively, the time that it would run would be 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And this he says school district field. Well, it's actually just a grass piece over by the middle school. It's not on an athletic field, anything like that. It's just the grass yard. Concerns would be, after Matt and I talked about it, would there be alcohol at this reception? Should they have insurance? Should they be going through the facility use procedure and filling it out and giving us a certificate of liability? Are there going to be any repercussions from the neighbors? Something like this goes on. So, Matt, I don't know if you have anything to add to it, or we open it up for discussion. How proceed?
So I'll just kind of share my general take on it. If the board would want to allow it, I would say that they have to follow the facility use procedures like any other entity. However, I have concerns beyond that. We've all been to social gatherings where they say it's going to close, it's going to stop at 10, and the next thing you know, it's midnight. Noise levels, just the optics from the other neighbors saying, hey, what's the school district doing allowing this event to occur on their property? As well as it could become a slippery slope in that if we allow one to do it, then does the next neighbor down the line, when they want to have a graduation party, say, hey, can we extend our backyard into that field as well? I like strong community relationships, but I think some things may set us up for headaches down the road.
This is Gary. I agree with all of that, Matt. And the other parts of it totally is that if somebody is hurt, though, and so on our school property, are we liable? And most of all, if you're telling me I'm having a wedding in my backyard and I'm going to extend it over into the school property, you're not going to guarantee me that there's not going to be liquor carrying over. And where that happens, that's where I draw my line.
I'm in agreement that we should not allow this festival to happen, or whatever you might want to call it. So I'm in agreement with Gary.
Any other board members want to weigh in?
It's just a liability issue. That's the bottom line. Somebody, anything can happen anytime. It's not our event. It's not school sponsored. I'm not in favor of that at all.
I'm in agreement. This is Michelle. It's, while I wish them well, that's a huge liability issue for us.
Okay.
Hi, it's Donna. I agree with everything everybody has said.
Okay, Greg, I think we have direction.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Okay, that being said, Mr. Disler, I think we can close out this committee.
Do we have a motion to close? If I don't hear any objections, we'll close the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Disler. Eric, it looks like you said you had a comment on the live stream. Do you want to share that out?
Yes, we had no questions. We had one comment from Angela Williams, and she said the new website looks awesome. Great job. That was the only comment we had so far, and I would agree.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams.
I want to see that in writing. I don't believe that. I think that's crap, but anyway.
I think all the comments are logged, right, Eric? Let's save that one. Okay, looks like we can transition over to the Finance Committee then. Mrs. Cole, would you like to open up that committee meeting?
Sure, thank you. I believe, Sue, you're first on the agenda.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Donna. Hello, everyone. I just wanted to give an update on summer feeding. We'll be concluding our summer feeding not this Thursday, but the following Thursday, August 13th. We've done a pretty good job. My staff's been incredible on feeding. We've had pretty good participation, probably not as good, well, definitely not as good as it was during the school year, but we knew for a fact that people were going back to work, so we knew that number would be down. However, with that being said, in June, we fed breakfast and lunch 5,819 meals to our students in the community. We did have a loss for that month, and that was because majority of our girls were being paid for the month of June. However, we did end the year with a positive still, which blows my mind. Never expected that. These are really rough numbers, but about a positive of about 32,000. July, we fed 6,908 meals. That's 6,908 breakfasts and 6,908 lunches. Our expenses were lower that month because we were only paying our staff that was actually working, as well as keeping our expenses as low as possible. We actually made $11,000 that month, so we can add that to the 32. We've started off a little bit slow in August, but we only have 10 days in August, so at the close of that, maybe we could walk away with a $1,000 or $2,000 profit, so I'm happy with that as well. So overall, I definitely feel it was a successful program and definitely worth our time, and I'm proud of the food service department and the volunteers that came to hand out the meals, and some of the community members that came and handed out, whether it was books or different items to the kids when they were there. My thanks goes out to everybody and the support that we certainly got from the board. So I thank you for that, and I'm happy with it.
Sue, how many meals were provided in June?
I'm sorry, Matt?
How many meals were provided in June?
June, 5,819 breakfasts, and then 5,819 meals for lunch. The same number. Now in July, we did have the rec center, and we fed 35 kids a day there. So that helped us. They finished this Friday, so I anticipate our number for next week will even go down further. But our expenses, we've purchased everything with exception to our bread and our milk. So that'll be a minimal expense number, except for whatever Rhonda hands me. But I still expect that to be low too. Sorry, Rhonda, I always pick on you. I'm so sorry. Because I know it's not you personally. So that's where we are for that. We're obviously looking at many different things to the start of the school year. Limited menus and that sort of thing. So we're putting a lot of time and effort into trying to make sure that I said that we're going to have a new perception with a limited menu. It won't be, I don't want the perception to be it's a school lunch. I want the perception to be it's a restaurant style meal, because we will be limited. We have that time to commit to making this meal the best that we can possibly do. So there's going to be some training on actual food preparation and that sort of thing. So I'm hoping that that'll help, and we'll assess as we go along as to where we're at. So that's what I have there. The second thing I had was our backpack buddies. We had significant support from Hope Lutheran Church in Cherryville, who they did a coin toss and they made over $638 in their church the summer program, which blows my mind because they did a lot of it virtual, but that was donated to our Backpack Buddies program. In addition to that, the church alone had donated $500 worth of food products to us to utilize in our Backpack Buddies program. So a big thanks to Hope Lutheran Church and the people involved there. They were a great support to us, and I was proud to be able to work with them. The funny that we did have is I'm sure everybody's aware that there's supposed to be a change shortage out there. So they made their appointment with the bank with $638.42 worth of change. And when they got to the bank told them they didn't have time to count it and that they would have to come back on another day with their change. So they were just like, there's a change shortage, but you won't take our change. So I kind of got a kick out of that, but it's your little laugh for today from food service for what it's worth. So that's all I have for tonight's meeting.
So when do you anticipate starting Backpack Buddies in the fall?
Oh, Matt, that's a good one. As soon as we can, once we get everything else into place and that sort of thing. I mean, if I can get into place within the first week, hopefully within the third week, because I'm going to have to communicate with principals as well to get that word back out there to our community.
Thank
to, again,
you. And
then, figure out the need.
Yep. So can you send me your notes just to make sure I didn't miss any of the statistics and I can insert it into the meeting notes then?
Sure.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Hey, Sue, it's Donna. I just want to say it was amazing the job that you and your staff did this summer. I stopped by the one time and everybody was happy. People were thrilled. They wanted to be there. And folks getting the food were so thankful that you were able to do that. So thank you.
Thank you, Donna. I have to agree with you. It was a humbling experience because our staff is very involved in the community and has such a commitment to our community. They're part of our community. All of them are part of our community. And the people that went through were so grateful. They really were. They said thank you and were thrilled. And a lot of us got to know some other families that we would have gotten to know during that time period. So it was a good thing. But thank you. I appreciate that, Donna. I will pass that along to the girls.
Thank you, Sue.
Thanks, Sue. Who's up next?
That's all I have.
I guess that's us. I just want to say one thing with Susie. I know she said that she finished the year at like $32,000 to the good. I think you said the end of June. And actually, she will have money coming back from the general fund for her PCERS and her retirement and her health benefit, the portions of that we owe her back. So she'll probably receive like another $60,000 to $75,000 from the school district. So she's probably going to end up still at like $100,000. So to still be not that far under is great from where she started.
Yeah. Yeah, we just have to really focus on trying to get the most participation we possibly can this year. So it's going to be a whole different look at it.
Exactly.
But we all are.
Yep, exactly.
Join the crowd, right?
Yeah. Right. But Yeah, I just wanted to let you know, don't forget you got
Thanks,
that
Jerry.
money coming in, which is a plus because
Yeah.
we saved that money for you. So you have it next year. You're welcome.
You know how happy it makes. I think that's why you do it, because you know it's like Christmas for me when you
I know,
when you
it
say
breaks
the
you up
check
every
is in the mail.
Get that big check and you're happy as crap. So, all right.
Thank you.
The first thing I want to talk about is not on the agenda, and Sue made me think about it as she was talking about the rec center. If you remember last year, the Playground Association and the rec center approached us about their tax bill and the issues with the fact that they needed to make that they need to keep the building in the Playground Association because it needs to be matching funds for the grants when the community center actually goes up and running. And the board at that point in time had given them the permission to relieve them for the next 2 years. So this is going to be the first year of that tax bill. And what was going actually, we're not being relieved. What's going to end up happening is we're getting a bill. We're going to be billing. We're going to be paying the rec center for their services that they provide our students for that summer recreation program. So I just wanted to remind you guys that that's all coming through now. We will be getting a bill and I will send that to the board for approval so that everybody's on board and knows that we are now paying the rec center for their services that they offer our students. So we're basically paying for like a summer program, just like extended school year and that kind of stuff, but we're doing it for every student to offer them some kind of a summer program. So just remember that that's all, if you see that on the agenda, that's what that all has to do with. The next thing I need to talk about.
This is Jerry, but then they still are going, then they're going to reimburse us back.
Correct.
For the taxes. I mean, we're going to, they're just so that if it ever gets out publicly, they are paying their taxes.
Correct. They're paying their taxes then. That is correct. So the rec center, right.
I remind that. Yeah.
For our services are billing us for their services, and then they're going to turn around and pay their tax bill. Correct.
Very good. Thank you.
All right, so the next thing, the PCCD and the ESSERS grants. So those are both of those grants that are basically COVID related. The PCCD grant was that $182,000 that came in from the federal government and ran through the Pennsylvania state. And then the ESSERS is actual money that comes directly from the state. I mean, from the federal government. Both of those grants have been fully applied for. The PCCD grant, we have bought all of our protective equipment, our sanitizing machines, our signs around the buildings. All of that has already been purchased. The little bit that we're still waiting to spend on that is Sue's stuff that she is trying to get her finalized for pricing and everything for her to-go meals, I want to say, if she has to deliver meals to the classrooms, if she needs some equipment for cafeteria for the delivery of those meals. So once she finishes up what she needs and finalizes that grant will be done. The ESSERS grant, again, we just finished up that payment or that application that has been sent to the state. We're waiting to hear back on that one. But most of that is going to be used for the teachers to possibly do the live streaming that may need to be done for some of the classes. And it will also be used for Bldg Academy. A lot of that money will be used for the increase in cost in enrollment of students who may not, parents who may not feel that their children can return due to COVID. So if that's the case, our Bldg Academy numbers, which we might see rising, we're going to need to offset that somewhere. So that cost is coming out of that grant. So those have been applied for and should not see an issue with any of them because everything that we've applied for are things that are viable under those grant obligations. Any questions on the grants we applied for?
What's the amount on that, Sherry, that you know so far?
Sure. Sure. The PCCD grant was $182,000 and change, and the ESSERS grant was $349,000 and change. You're welcome. The next item is our CSIU software FIS conversion. So we currently have CSIU, and we were part of the Fox Pro system. We kind of jumped with our feet. There is no cost increase. It's just a new updated system that offers us a lot more flexibility and the ability to. Fox Pro was very cumbersome. So if you put something like, let's say somebody's birthday, if I put that in payroll, I also had to go into HR and enter it. And I also had to go in the next day. I had to put it in like 10 different places. The FIS system now has made it so that every system talks to each other's system. So we put it in one place and it goes everywhere it's supposed to go. So we decided, because you're going to see later on, we're going to have a retirement in our business office, that we wanted to get this sooner rather than later so that we're not bringing in a new person, teaching them the old system, that come March, we'd be moving to the new system. So we jumped 2 feet in October, November of last year, and then COVID hit. Well, we still have to move forward with the system because we're moving forward with it. So we're in the midst of all of our training for this, which is taking on a lot of pressure in the business office, but we are coping with it. But just wanted to let you know that we are moving to that FIS system. What we hope to accomplish that is that we will be in full FIS come the beginning of September. We're right now what they're called playing in the sandbox. So we have this FIS area now. We have the Fox Pro, which is currently active, and we have the FIS system. The FIS system, they rolled all of our information in there, and we're just kind of playing around in there, learning the system. They're giving us trainings on it. And then come September, they will do one more live conversion where they would take everything that is in Fox Pro and roll it over in September. And then in September, we will be live in FIS. There's just a lot of added extra bonus features in FIS that we did not get in Fox Pro that is really going to be helpful and beneficial to the business office. So we're really excited about it. Although it's a lot of work, we're still really excited about what we're doing in that department. Any questions about the FIS system and the conversion? All righty, we had our preliminary audit in the end of July, and that was we had 5 auditors that were in. They were here in the conference room. They did their preliminary audit. They started probably around 8 o'clock in the morning. They finished around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And then they will be back from September 23rd to the 25th, and that will be the conclusion of our 1920 budget. So at that point in time, we'll know exactly where we stand in the 1920 school year with what we ended up using out of fund balance and where our fund balance will end for the 1920 school year. Probably get those numbers sometime, probably mid-October. So it could possibly be the November agenda till we actually report where we stand. Reason being is before we always had it the end of August, but with this FIS conversion system and everything that was happening, we had training scheduled on the days when they were going to go in. So Palmerton was nice enough to switch our audit dates with us. So we now have theirs, which is the end of September, what we gladly said next year we will be back to August, because I honestly like the earlier in August that I could do it, so that we can finish out these books and we know where we stand come the end of September. So it's a little bit of a glitch this year, but because of the FIS conversion system, but we'll get you the numbers and what we know as soon as we can. So. And last is personnel issues. So just to let you know, all of our clearances for probably a good 85% of our staff members all needed to be renewed this year. This is year 5 of the clearances. I want to say probably about 70% of them have completed the process by this point in time. I have a few that were due like August 24th and 25th, they expire by. The state kind of put out there that the FBI clearance has been extended to December 31st because of the fact that the places to go get fingerprinted were closed down for 2 months, with the fact that every school district in PA had hundreds and if not thousands of people who had to go get fingerprinted. And then with the fact that we're in COVID, where some people were afraid to still go out and be fingerprinted and touching, being out around people, touching the fingerprint stations that you have to touch. They passed the state law that extended that clearance only till the end of December. So I think some people, because I have had the question, well, they're extended till December 31st. They're not. The only one that's extended is the FBI one, because the other two you can get at home online and you don't need to leave your home. So I am sending out a reminder email to those like 40 some people that I still don't have clearances from yet, to basically say, listen, it's the fingerprint is extended, but your other two, you do need to get to me before school returns and before your clearances expire. So for the most part, we're doing good. We're on track with that. I just need to send out a little friendly reminder, and I think everybody will jump on board. I think it's just a little bit of a misunderstanding. Go ahead, Matt. Oh, nope, you're good? Okay. Any questions on that? All right, so retirement in the business office, as I mentioned earlier, we do have a retirement that's going to happen in the business office. The last day will probably be sometime in the beginning of November. That person's board motion will be on for Monday night for approval. And once that is approved, then we're going to advertise to fill that position. And hopefully with the hopes of having gone through the interview process and have somebody on board sometime in October, at least to have some crossover training time between the person who's leaving and the person coming in. School district is a whole nother animal when it comes to paying bills and coding bills and all that other kind of stuff. So there's a lot to be learned in the business office. So we're hoping to have somebody in here that we can train them up and set the business office up for continued success. So, and then the last thing I have is some of you may remember Chris Stafford when she was here years ago. Well, when she was here as our business manager, she actually moved in and was a community member as well. She moved into the borough of Walnutport. She reached out to us knowing everything that is going on with COVID and having been in school district for so many years. She's just trying to figure out how we're all going to handle everything that needs to be handled and what's going on. She has graciously offered to be a volunteer to the district and help in any way she can. So her motion is on Monday evening to come back and help assist us in our processes and everything we're going to be going through, which is a huge help because she comes with a lot of school district knowledge, which is very beneficial to us. The fact that I'm losing somebody in the business office, she's going to be able to help us out there and pitch in where we need her. We also have Dr. Stoker's administrative secretary who just left after a 2-week notice. So at this point in time, we kind of going to use her to help with registration. And so she's just a huge asset to have back to help us, and basically on a volunteer basis, which is nice because she's willing to come in, help our community and not make us pay her for doing it. So kudos to her and thank her for that. But I just wanted to let you all know that she is on the agenda of Monday night for approval as well.
Wow, lots happening. Lots happening. Anything else?
That's all I have.
Chris Stafford is the, what should I say, the forerunner of someone named Sherry and Rhonda. I think she came to our district without much experience at all as a business manager, and everybody said, oh my God, what's going to happen? And she did a fantastic job. She kind of blazed the trail for you guys, and I think you followed her footsteps. But when she left, she was pretty accomplished at what she was doing. So it should be a great help. Yeah. Except for Rod, don't worry about her. You know, she's
And no, the retirement in the business office is not me, Matt.
oh, I thought it was.
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, Chris is very well respected.
Yeah.
In various parts of the state.
Yeah, when she left us, she went to Salisbury. So I mean, she continued, and now is also being very helpful at being on the foundation board as far as their financial person. So she's very accomplished, and it's wonderful. Also a great person.
Very much so. Yep. That's all we have.
Anybody have anything else? Seeing none, move to adjourn.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Hill, any comments from the live stream?
We do not. No more comments or questions. We're good. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
Matt,
Okay, Mrs. Culp.
So I guess, do we switch to the
okay,
executive
yeah,
session?
Matt, we're it's 6:30. We did make it for 6:45. I mean, so I would say we would have a few minutes for a rest stop,
Yep.
and if we get on and everybody, if all the board members and anybody else who is needed to be on is on before, we could start earlier there because it doesn't have to be it's not posted. So